Imagine a skyline of towers rising from the desert, each one designed to touch the clouds, wrapped in glass and steel that shimmer under a relentless sun. Roads lead to them, wide and freshly paved, but no cars move along their lanes. Streetlights flicker to life at dusk, illuminating paths where no footsteps echo. Entire neighborhoods wait in silence, their villas pristine yet empty, their fountains dry, their gardens neatly trimmed but never enjoyed. This is the reality of ghost cities, architectural marvels, built with dreams of grandeur, yet left hollow by time, speculation, and circumstance. Dubai, with its bold ambition, has birthed visions that now stand half alive. Places conceived as playgrounds for the wealthy, but that became museums of absence. And yet Dubai is not alone. Across the globe, skeletons of utopian visions rest in silence. Reminders that even the most extravagant dreams can crumble when desire does not meet reality. The story begins in the early 2000s, when Dubai became a beacon of possibility. Oil wealth fueled ambition! And suddenly the desert became a canvas for cities that seemed more like science fiction than reality. Artificial islands, shaped like palm trees, stretched into the sea. Towers competed to be taller, more iconic, more breathtaking. And within this wave of ambition, entire developments were announced. Luxury gated communities, futuristic business districts, amusement hubs, meant to rival the greatest cities on Earth. But the cycle of speculation often moves faster than the rhythm of demand. Money built faster than life could follow. Villas rose before families arrived. High-rises opened with suites no one bought. And as global crises hit, some projects stalled, leaving half-finished structures beside completed ones, creating ghostly landscapes where potential froze in time. One striking example is the Jumeirah Islands project. Conceived as clusters of luxury homes surrounded by man-made lakes, each villa promising privacy and exclusivity, some areas thrived, but others became eerily still. Lights shine in only a handful of windows, while dozens of homes remain locked, owned on paper, but never lived in. At night, the silence is so deep that one can hear the desert winds brushing against the facades. Swimming pools are filled, cleaned by staff, but untouched by swimmers. Security patrols circulate in neighborhoods where no voices rise. The city stands, but its soul does not. And then there is the World Islands Project, perhaps the boldest dream of all. An archipelago of artificial islands shaped into the map of the globe, meant to host resorts, villas, and commercial hubs. Developers imagined buyers purchasing not only a house but an entire island, a private kingdom in the sea. At first, investors rushed in, but as time went on, reality proved harsher than fantasy. Infrastructure was costly, logistics complicated, and interest waned. Today, many of these islands lie barren. Patches of sand, surrounded by turquoise waters, visible from space, but empty up close. A handful of them are developed, hosting lavish retreats for those who can afford secrecy. But most remain untouched, ghostly fragments of Earth floating in the Gulf, symbols of ambition paused in eternity. The phenomenon of ghost cities is not limited to Dubai. In China, entire metropolises were built at astonishing speed, intended to house millions. Cities like Ordos in Inner Mongolia stand as monuments to overestimation. Towers of apartments line the horizon, perfectly aligned, freshly painted, yet the streets are devoid of traffic. Shopping malls sparkle with marble floors and glass ceilings, but the storefronts remain empty. Mannequins staring into nothingness. Even train stations, modern and vast, see only a handful of passengers boarding sleek carriages bound for nowhere. The government envisioned prosperity and urban migration, but in many cases, the people did not come. The result is surreal. Entire cities that look complete, yet feel like stage sets waiting for actors who never arrived. Spain has its own ghosts too, though in a different form. Along its sun-drenched coasts, luxury resorts were built during the housing boom of the early 2000s. Developers imagined millions of Europeans flocking for vacations and retirement. Villas with ocean views, golf courses manicured to perfection, pools lined with mosaic tiles. But when the financial crisis struck, buyers vanished. Construction stopped midstream, leaving skeletons of buildings dotting the hillsides. Even completed resorts fell silent, their hotel lobbies empty, their rooms never booked. Walking through them today feels like stepping into a dream interrupted. Signs point to amenities that no longer exist. Brochures promise a lifestyle that never arrived. The Mediterranean glistens as always, but the echoes of laughter and conversation remain absent. Venturing further east, the remains of the Soviet Union also tell a story of grand designs turned to dust. Across Central Asia and Eastern Europe, vast complexes were erected to symbolize progress and power. Resorts along the Black Sea, scientific cities, industrial hubs meant to showcase superiority. When the empire dissolved, many of these sites were abandoned. The architecture still towers, concrete blocks weathered by decades, mosaics fading under the sun. They are not pristine like Dubai's empty villas, but they carry the same air of absence, a reminder that dreams can vanish when political tides shift. Some have been repurposed, others left to decay, visited only by explorers chasing the ghosts of ideology. What unites all these examples is not just the emptiness of their streets, but the paradox they reveal. Humans build not only for shelter, but for status, power, and imagination. A ghost city is not simply a failed project. It is a mirror reflecting the ambitions of its creators, frozen at the moment when optimism outweighed reality. Walking through them, one does not only see empty buildings. One feels the weight of dreams too large to be contained by the world. Marble lobbies that never hosted a guest. Swimming pools that never felt the splash of joy. Streets so perfect they seem almost sacred, waiting for footsteps that never came. Dubai's ghost projects stand apart because of their scale and extravagance. Unlike the utilitarian towers of China or the decayed blocks of the Soviet era, these are palaces without kings, islands without nations, luxury stripped of its purpose. And yet, their very emptiness gives them power. They become myths, whispered about in articles, photographed by adventurers, discussed in hushed tones among collectors of the surreal. To own one of these villas, to host a party on a deserted island, is not merely a sign of wealth. It is a declaration of belonging to a club where absence itself becomes the luxury. Privacy, elevated to the extreme. Silence curated as a commodity. Consider the experience of visiting such a place. A helicopter descends onto a helipad surrounded by nothing but sand and water. Staff stand waiting, uniforms pressed, ready to serve a guest who may or may not arrive. The villa glows with light, its interiors furnished with the finest designs, its dining table set with crystal and silverware. Yet the chairs remain empty, the food untouched. Perhaps one evening, a small group arrives, enjoying a dinner by candlelight, their laughter filling the rooms for a few hours. Then they depart, and the silence returns, stretching for weeks, months, even years. Maintenance crews return to polish surfaces, replace flowers, keep the illusion of life intact. The city, the villa, the island lives not through habitation, but through anticipation. This raises a profound question. Are ghost cities failures, or are they simply different forms of luxury? In some ways, they function as art installations, vast creations meant to inspire, or rather than to serve. For investors, ownership may be less about use and more about status, a way to signal belonging to a world where space, silence, and absence are commodities. The very act of building, of manifesting imagination into stone and glass, becomes the point. Whether people fill the spaces is secondary. What matters is that they exist, that they stand as monuments to possibility. And yet, there is an undeniable melancholy in them. To walk through Ordos or along the world islands is to feel both wonder and sadness. Wonder at the audacity of human ambition. Sadness at the stillness that follows. The fountains built to dance never flow. The lights meant to sparkle over parties shine only for the wind. The architecture remains pristine, but without life. It feels like a theater awaiting an audience that will never return. In this paradox, ghost cities gain their power. They tell stories of visionaries who dared to imagine too much, of investors who gambled on dreams, of societies that chased symbols of progress. They stand as warnings and as inspirations, reminders that ambition always carries risk, but also that the human spirit never ceases to dream. For even as some ghost cities fade, new ones are conceived, new projects announced, new skylines drawn onto blank horizons. The cycle of hope and emptiness continues, as eternal as the desert sands. So when you next see images of glittering towers by the sea, of villas perched on man-made islands, or of entire neighborhoods waiting in silence, remember this. They are not merely empty buildings. They are the echoes of dreams, the embodiment of ambition, the shadows of luxury that dared to exist. And in their silence, they whisper to us about the fragility of human vision and the beauty of imagining worlds that may never be fully lived in.